Well, it's a new day, a new year, a new president, and a brand new show at Bourbon Riders. We're going to roll up a lot of the shows we do during the week and put them in one big event. We're going to let you know what we're buying, what we're hunting for, what we're seeing in the stores that are new and exciting. We're going to let you know what our bourbon of the week is. And last but not least, I'm going to get on my soapbox and tell you what's wrong with all of it, or just answer your questions. So join us for the wonderful world of bourbon. Okay, before we get started on our bourbon haul, if it looks like I'm changing between segments, well, I kind of am because the segments are recorded through the week. Even the background sometimes may change, the bottles may change, so that's why. So on tonight's bourbon haul, we had more bottles than we could put in this segment since the last time we did a bourbon haul. So we're going to show you about half of them, but they're all very interesting bottles. The first brand is kind of new to me. I've not tasted it before. It just came into Georgia a little while back, and that would be this brand called Copper and Cask. And isn't that a fancy presentation it's in? I think they put this in this box for Christmas. I did get it before Christmas. It was a Christmas gift, in fact. This is their small batch series double oak bourbon. I love a good double oak, and the Copper and Cask was very affordable. So yeah, I let someone pull the trigger on this one, and you may know that person. So we take it out of that, and it's kind of a neat box, but we don't buy whiskey for the box, do we? No, we don't. So there goes the box. Copper and Cask, small batch series. It's an 8-year-old double oak bourbon whiskey finished in new oak and used whiskey casks. I look forward to trying that against some of my other double oaks that I like. But we didn't stop with one Copper and Cask. Oh no, I had to get another one because what did I see? A cigar blend that they have. This is a 7-year stated bourbon whiskey finished in cognac, sherry, port, and Armagnac casks. Well, I love a good cigar blend, and although I'd love to have all kinds of Joseph Magnus sitting behind me, Joseph Magnus is expensive, so I have been trying to find what I like in an affordable cigar blend. So when this comes along, I said, oh yeah, I've got to try that, and we may have to do a new cigar blend blind, say that 3 times real quick, of the ones I do have, because I don't have a Joseph Magnus. Even though Joseph Magnus is my favorite, there's a lot of other ones like the short barrel that I love. And even the Old Elk, which is good, a little pricey but good. But these were very affordable, and we'll let you know when we do a review about where we're finding these and what we're seeing them at. Another bottle that I got was part of a loyalty program at Sprayberry Bottle Shop. This 1792 12-year. Now, normally I don't like to buy the 12-year 1792 because it seems to be always overpriced, but because it wasn't a loyalty program, I got it near list price. Very happy to have one. I didn't have a 12-year. I've tasted it in the past. I won't tell you it's my favorite 1792, but I do like it. I like it quite a bit. So to get a bottle at MSRP or near MSRP, oh yeah. Next up, also from Sprayberry. Well, this was our barrel pick that came in with short barrel. This is a single barrel double oak series at 121 proof. I love a good double oak. I helped pick this one. This is absolutely phenomenal. So I was happy to see this in right before Christmas. So we picked that one up, and yeah, I have tasted it, and I owe you a review of that because it is off the chain good. Next up was kind of a backup that I kind of stumbled into, and that was, again, another loyalty program, Old Forester 1924. Now, I do have a 1924 on the shelf open back here, but when I can find a backup, and this is my favorite of the Old Forester line, I can find a backup at list price, I'm getting it. And because I was in a loyalty program, list price, buddy, all day long. So very happy to have a backup of that. Then last but not least, something I had been searching for and finally found around that time Redwood Empire Haystack Needle. Now this is their bourbon whiskey. They also have a rye that looks very similar, same type bottle. I heard good things about it. I love a lot of the Redwood Empire lineup. So we're going to try this later on tonight as part of our wonderful world of bourbon. When we get to our bourbon reviews, this is going to be one of them. So this is our Bourbon Haul. Well, in our Bourbon Recon segment, we're going to show you interesting and new bourbons and whiskeys that we're seeing in the bottle shops. So some of them aren't new, but they may be new to my area, or something about them makes me want to talk about them, right? So we were in Cartersville earlier today, so I'm kind of going backwards from earlier in the week when I was also shopping around. So we found this Society 2, is it? A straight bourbon whiskey finished in tequila casks. It's a 10-year-old bourbon whiskey from World Whiskey Society and the Black Bourbon Society. Sounds like a collaboration. Don't know anything about it. First time I'm seeing it. I've had a World Whiskey Society bourbon before. That one I've got that's a 6-year-old bourbon, I think, finished in Japanese Mazunara barrels, which I thought was pretty good, but it was a little pricey. This one, 110, a little pricey, but I'm yet to be convinced that I like any whiskey or bourbon finished in tequila. Maybe I'm just not trying the right one yet, right? We also saw a new one. I'd never seen this one before. McTavish, bottled in bond. This is called the War Chief. Decent price, it seems like. It's a, 7-year for $64.99. Don't know anything about it. If you do, let me know. Next, here's another World Whiskey Society, a fancy bottle. Now, what's interesting about that, besides the price, $300, is that it's a 12-year Heaven Hill bourbon. We just, with Sprayberry Bottle Shop, picked a 12-year Heaven Hill that Short Barrel had gotten. We thought it was fantastic, but I promise you, I didn't pay anywhere near $300. So now this one's finished in Oloroso sherry barrels, which adds something to the cost. But I'm wondering, how much are you paying for that bottle? That's probably, for me, a hard pass. Knob Creek 12. I love Knob Creek 12. I've got at least 3 bottles of it sitting around somewhere, but not at $129. That is way overpriced. That's a hard pass for me. Wyoming Whiskey 10-year. Now, we did a store pick with Habits Bottle Shop. I think theirs was an 8-year, and it was wonderful, but it was nowhere near $229. Hard pass. Remus Repeal Reserve. I've had the Remus. It's a pretty high rye for me. I'm not a real big fan of the Repeal Reserve, but I mean the price at $110. I see it $99 to $110. I don't think that's that crazy priced. But what's interesting, this is version 7, batch 7. No, I'm sorry, batch 8. And look how many bottles are there. So I'm wondering, is 8 any good? I don't really have a problem with the price. I'm just wondering, why are there so many bottles there? And I didn't know that 8 was out. This was interesting. Over in Woodstock, one of the bottle shops I shop at, this Noble Share from High West, and maybe Casa Noble. I don't know. Is that a tequila company? Probably. Looks like another collaboration there of whiskey and tequila. I remember it being several $100s. Hard pass. This was the Holly Springs. Early times, bottled in bond. The 1 liter size, $26.99. I picked up a bottle. I didn't have it in my bourbon haul because I think I actually picked this up before Black Friday. But yeah, easy buy all day long. If I go back and they got another one there, I'll probably pick it up again because Early Times is one of the best. I think it probably is the best value in bourbon out there, period. Weller Antique 107 and Weller 12 going for $149. Now, the $149 I don't have a problem with. The fact that I've got to spend $100 before I can buy those, well, if you're already there spending $100, I guess it sounds like a pretty good deal. But I've never paid $149 for the Antique 107. I don't own a Weller 12. I think maybe, I know I can buy that for around that price, a little bit more, without having to make the $100 investment. But still, hard pass on both of them. Sorry, and I love this shop. It is what it is. This is a new one. Rare Character Straight Rye Whiskey finished in maple casks. Well, that sounds interesting. 117. Looks like the proof is handwritten on there. Also in Holly Springs, 117.8 proof. But Rare Character stuff is pricey. That's $140. That's probably a pass for me. $31.97 for Buffalo Trace. Now, it's one per customer. I get that because it still will fly off the shelf. But $32, easy buy there. I would, if I didn't have 5 or 6 in the whiskey vault, I would have picked one up. That's a good price. I'd have no problem. The fact that you only get one still tells me that they disappear faster than they can sell them. Back to Rare Character. Now, this is about the price I normally see for a Rare Character store pick. This was, of course, you can read the label who it's from. This was Cumming. Yes, Cumming. Yeah, this is what was interesting to me about this is straight rye whiskey finished in Amberana cask. Now, normally I go like poo-poo, nope, and nope. But I got that 13th Colony rye whiskey finished in Amberana, and it is wonderful. Amberana and rye may be the perfect combination. Could be. So you can't find that 13th Colony rye finished in Amberana. I got to have something to drink. This may be a good alternate. And you're probably going to save money over the 13th because you have to actually go to the distillery and buy that. This was interesting. I thought the 3-quart that I had, the honey cask, was pretty good. Now it got beat pretty bad in a blind of other honey casks, but I thought still it was pretty good. This one, there again, the Allman Brothers are associated with this somehow. I call this the Backstage Series. This is a blend of straight bourbon whiskeys finished with toasted peach wood. Well, I'm from Georgia. Anything peach is good for me, so that is interesting. And $49.97, I might have to pull the plug on that. Or pull the trigger, not the plug. I still haven't gotten my Old Dominic's. And there's one right there, $48. Now the Tennessee whiskey and then the cask strength bourbon whiskey. The one I'm interested in is the cask strength bourbon whiskey. That's one of the best prices I've seen on that. So I'm probably going to pull the trigger on that. Redwood Empire Pipe Dream. Now, I'm a fan of the cask strength Pipe Dream, not so much of the white label Pipe Dream. I don't know. I just didn't seem to have enough. This is the 101 proof. This is new, what I'm seeing. And $53, a lot better price than the cask strength. And that 101 is in that sweet spot of proof that I like. That could be a future buy. And then Bull Run. Well, Bull Run is basically MGP. But this is a 16-year finished in Madeira cask. And I've tasted some things in Madeira and I like it. $89.99 for a 16-year-old whiskey finished in Madeira casks. And this was in Cumming. And you probably can see the name on there. That to me is a deal. Another deal going on right now is the Four Roses that's come out with a new OB and OE series. I forget what the OE one is, but they've got at least 2 more of the single barrels coming out at the same price as the standard single barrel, which I'm not a big fan of. So if you're a Four Roses fan, and for this $46 was the best price I've seen that, you need to get out. I would go and get both of them and see which one you like best. If you haven't done the tasting experience, get both of the new ones. Augusta Distillery Old Route 8. This one I saw in Alpharetta. Yeah, this is one of my bourbons that I'm hunting for right now. I found it, and I need to decide whether I'm pulling the trigger on it. I have had a sample in the past, thought it was wonderful. It's a little pricey at $110, and that's the price I'm pretty much seeing it. It's coming to North Georgia now. That's about what you'll pay for it. That's a definite, I think that's a definite buy. Yellowstone, their cask strength is what I don't like their standard proof, but their cask strength, their single barrel select, I think is a good bourbon, and at $60, this was also up and coming. $60, that's a deal. And the real deal of the day, the absolute fantastic deal of the day, also in a store incoming, Nashville Barrel, cask strength. And I had to check the price because I'm not. It can't be that. It can't be $39.99. Well, it is. It's a Georgia Select version or Georgia Special version of Nashville Barrel straight bourbon whiskey. It is cask strength. Let me see if I can read. I can't read the exact strength on it. It says it's 5 to 8-year-old blended for $39. That's the deal of the day. And then right after Christmas time, back in Holly Springs, I'm still some of these picks that they put out for the Christmas shoppers was still there. Elijah Craig for $189.99. That's not a bad. I'm not saying it's a good price, but it's not a bad price. I sometimes see it for more. The Heaven Hill, I see it for $100 to $110, about what I normally see it at. The Wyatt Earp, that's a hard pass at $229. There's my Copper and Cast, $69.99. And then the Joseph Magnus. Now, it's still too pricey for me, but $209.99, that's one of the better prices I've seen it. You don't see the cigar blend everywhere. I've seen it as high as $300 at $209. Still more than I'm willing to spend, but if you like that cigar blend, that's the best price I've seen recently. So that is our Bourbon Recon this week. Redwood Empire Haystack Needle. Now this is their straight bourbon whiskey, not the rye, at 116.4 proof. Availability, I would say it's still pretty limited. I might see it in maybe 20% of the bottle shops I go in. It is well over $100 in price. The MSRP is $120, and I think maybe that's what's why some of the bottle shops aren't carrying it. It is a pricey version of the Redwood Empire. Aroma. It's got a very interesting aroma. I get some, traditional bourbon notes, but I get a lot of kind of maple syrup, molasses, and vanilla. It is a very flavorful aroma. Cheers. Now this is bold and rich, like a lot of the other Redwood Empires that I like, the pipe dream cask strength and the Screaming Titan. This reminds me of both of those. It definitely has got a bold, rich, sweet palate going for it. It is a very good, very well-balanced bourbon whiskey. and an 8-year bourbon whiskey, which is, I don't think I've ever had a Redwood Empire that was age stated. So this is new for me. The finish is not real long lasting, but that palate goes into the finish. I'm getting some dried fruit. Definitely that maple is coming across with the baking spices. Maybe a little bit of leather, a little bit of oak. It doesn't last a long time. It's a good finish, not a great finish. I think it's a fabulous bourbon whiskey. The problem I have, it's not a $120 bottle. $99 all day long is the most I would probably pay for this had I had to do it over. I think for what you're paying at $120 plus, I'm telling you, it's a pass. So, see you next time on 2 Minute Monday. Cheers. In our On the Hunt segment, that's where I tell you what bourbons and whiskeys that I'm hunting. Mostly bourbons, and for this show, it'll be bourbons. First up, you probably watched Fred Minnick's Top 100 of 2024. And I've been interested in Nashville Barrel for some time, but every time I see Nashville Barrel, it's always some kind of store pick, and it always seems to be over $100. Well, Fred picked the Nash Tucky single barrel, which is, I think, around $60, $70. And he picked Nashville Barrel the year before, 2023, the 7-year, I think it was, single barrel, also 4th place. Isn't that a little strange? Yeah, I thought so. So Daniel over at Appalachian Bourbon Society and I decided that we'd each get a Nashville Barrel we could order from Nashville Barrel directly. We would get the 7-year, which was the 2023 4th place, and the Nash Tucky, which was this year's 4th place. And we'd try them. We'd do a blind and see which one was better. So those are on the way. Next on my list of what I'm hunting for is the 2024 Woodford Batch Proof. I've got the 2023. I thought it was wonderful. In fact, it's right up there. And I can find the 2024, but every place I've seen it has been overpriced, so I'm kind of shopping around to get the best price on that, but I am going to get one of those. Next up, also one that was on Fred Minnick's list that did pretty high this year, the O.H. Ingram River Aged. I think it's their flagship bourbon, and I think it's like, I don't know, $70, $80 bottle, something like that. Yeah, I've seen that a couple places in the past, so I've got to go and hunt and get that one, but that's on my list. And then last but not least, Augusta Distillery Old Route 8. It's an 8-year bourbon. I got a sample of that a little while back. It won in a blind. I thought I was really impressed with that. I've seen it recently. I know where I can find it. I just need to go get off my lazy ass and go get it. So on the hunt, those are the 4 this week that I'm hunting. Next up, we're going to do a bourbon review. In fact, we're going to bring in a guest for that. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Hello, and welcome back to the Appalachian Bourbon Society Bar. Tonight, we're reviewing the Doc Holliday 15-year Kentucky Straight Bourbon. This is released by World Whiskey Society out of Jefferson, Georgia, and it was founded in 2020, but I couldn't find much information other than that. This is cask strength at 123 proof. This is from barrel KY2, bottle 27 of 100. The mash bill, 75% corn, 13% rye, and 12% malted barley. Now, I've been told that this bottle compares to Russell's 15. That's some pretty big shoes to fill. So let's see what we think. So on the nose, there's definitely some brown sugar, caramel, baking spice. Almost like some kind of frosted pastry, sweet frosted pastry. Let's give it a try. So on the palate, that baking spice hits you right up front. And then it turns sweet. Almost like watermelon. Let's try it again. Yeah, definitely get the baking spice up front, some cinnamon, brown sugar, and then there's some kind of fruit there. It's almost like watermelon. I've never used that descriptor before, but that's what it's like. It's almost like watermelon. Short to medium finish, not much oak on it at all. I would have thought there would have been more oak in this for a 15-year bourbon. Let's give it one more sip. I mean, it's good. I like it. Thought there would have been a lot more oak on it, just being a 15-year-old bourbon. The oak is really not present at all on the palate. Not a very long finish at all. Doesn't coat the palate real well either. I won't say it's watery, but definitely not oily or viscous on the palate at all. It's good, I like it, but does it compare to the Russell's 15? I don't know, but let's find out. So prior to recording, I had my lovely assistant pour us up a little blind. One of these is the Russell's, one of them is the Doc Holliday. I'm afraid I know which one is which already, because this is just oak for days. This has got to be the Russell's. I mean, it is just that obvious. Yeah. Just on the nose, I can tell you this is the Russell's. It's just oak for days, but let's compare side by side. Yeah, that oak comes through on the palate. Definitely coats the palate better. Caramel brown sugar, molasses. That's really tasty. That is a really, really good bourbon. Let's go back to the Doc Holliday. Yeah. Side by side, to me, there's no comparison. The Russell's 15 all day. Now, is the Doc Holliday a good bourbon? Definitely. But when you consider the price of the Doc Holliday being almost what the Russell's is, would I buy it again? Probably not. I would look for another Russell's before I went and purchased another Doc Holliday. It is a good pour. Definitely, if you have an opportunity to try it, I wouldn't hesitate to try it. But for the price, I would go with the Russell's 15 all day, every day. But yeah, that's my review of the Doc Holliday. If you enjoyed this review, please consider clicking that like button, subscribing to the channel, and as always, please drink responsibly. Cheers.
You know, I could go on and on of how much I love this bourbon whiskey. I'm not always a big fan of old or high-age stated bourbons, even though, yeah, Russell's 15, outstanding off the chart. Elijah Craig 18 and Knob Creek 18, same deal. But, you know, a lot of the bourbons and whiskeys, I find that what I like most is in that 8 to 12 year. I really like the Knob Creek 12. I really like the Eagle Rear 10 year and the McKenna. There's just so many I can't even name on one show. All the 8 to 12 year bourbons, that seems to be where I have a lot of favorites in that. So this one falls a little outside of this. This is a 15-year-old. If you've been watching the channel, you may know what it is. But before we get to that, I have a runner-up. I won't always have a runner-up in Bourbon of the Week, but this one is special. Short Barrel. This is their single barrel double oak series. So yes, you can get a double oaked short barrel, and it is absolutely wonderful. I'll put it up against any double oak out there, including the Peerless, which, short barrel is not in every market. So, that's going to be the biggest issue, finding short barrel. You may have to go to a Soapbox or Bourbon Outfitter and see if they're carrying it. But if you can find this double oaked single barrel, now this one is 121.6 proof. It was part of a store pick that I participated in with Sprayberry Bottle Shop. This stuff is off the chart good. I mean, toasted short barrel goodness in a single barrel. Man. Straight bourbon whiskey finished in toasted oak barrels. Double oak series. Wow. And it is dark and bold and in your face. That was the runner-up. Can you imagine what the winner, the Bourbon of the Week, is? Well, if you're paying attention to the channel, you probably already know. It is the Sam Houston 15-year-old Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 103 proof. I absolutely love this stuff. Now, as far as I understand, Sam Houston is no longer in production. I think the last one was this was Series 7, which I think, if I remember correctly, was 2021. Let's see here. And this was Batch Georgia-3. 74% corn, 18% rye, 8% malted barley. Is distilled and aged in Bardstown, Kentucky. You can guess at which one may be doing it. I think it's very likely Barton 1792, but doesn't matter. It is wonderful. And that is my Bourbon of the Week. Cheers. Now it's on to the soapbox, where I get to tell you my mind. Today's soapbox topic, guilty as charged. And what's that about? It's about me and my past purchasing and chasing of allocated bourbons. And my beef with Sazerac and Brown Foreman, just to name a few, Wild Turkey, name 3, is not the price per se. Although you could tone down the price some. It's availability. I get that it's allocated. I get that you want more money for it. But by making it so hard to find, you're just fueling the secondary market. People are getting these things, and they might be going, what really gets me, you got people lining up at your distillery's gift shop for these special allocated bourbons, and they're not even bourbon drinkers. There's a large segment up there for one reason and one reason only, to buy that bottle and flip it. You need to stop that shit. That pisses me off, that you're fueling this rather than get those out to the bottle shops. Now, there are other bottle shops that will do the same thing. We'll just put it on the back shelf and make it a $900 bottle. I can go around to 3 or 4 shops in North Georgia and find Old Forester birthday bourbon, usually a year or 2 old, that's selling for $700, $800, $900. Oh yeah, and stays up there. It's a Dusty. No one's ever going to buy it for that. But, well, until some idiot comes in, has got more money than sense. So I'm not talking about the bottle shops. I'm talking about the individuals. And I get their messages all the time on Facebook and other things showing all these. They got a whole lineup here of allocated stuff that you would never be able to find, and just contact them. They won't tell you how much the price is. You know what? They're flippers. And I have a real problem that the distilleries are fueling this by allowing all these releases from the gift shop when they know there's a lot of people there are just flipping it. These are local people. These are people who are making a living by getting up early, coming down to the gift shop, and then driving home and then posting this shit on the internet. Oh, hey, guess what? I got a Old Forester birthday bourbon, $1,100. Contact me. Some idiot will pay that for it. Well, that's the other problem, is you've got idiots that will pay that shit. The industry has caused this problem. The industry can fix it. That's what I'm pissed off about. That is my soapbox for today. That pretty much wraps it up for our episode 1 of the wonderful world of bourbon. And occasionally we'll talk about a whiskey, but this is a show dedicated to bourbon because we are, after all, Bourbon Riders. So as always, never drink and drive. Please drink responsibly, and we'll see you next time. Cheers. What the